rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. All right, so I got to ask you guys this only because of the fact that I saw y'all chatting back and forth. Okay. How is the audio on here? Because how do I sound right now? Because I'm going to be honest with you, right now I am not entirely sold on this using Rumble Studio kind of thing. It's got some interesting quirks to it that I have to work with, going back and forth. And yeah, let's just say that when I started the music, there's a couple of things that Rumble does automatically in terms of the audio. And the first thing is that it does what's called noise suppression. And then the other thing that it does echo cancellation. Well, normally if you have a microphone and a speaker setup, you can get things bouncing back around. And I mean, there's a bunch of audio stuff I could get into it, but I'm not going to necessarily, but still, the thing is that I have a good audio setup. There's no reason for them to like add that in. And I think it's because of the fact that they are attempting to, cover up or help people who are not quite as savvy as I myself would be. All right, so Buddy is asking for a 5 count, so let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So there you go. All right, so there we go. Yeah. What do you mean, am I fried? I'm not fried. What are you talking about? This is nothing different than normal. Jeez, boy, you guys are like tough on this. Man, I'm telling you. This shouldn't be anything different than what it's normally been. I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, all right. So, again, I'm not entirely sold on this just yet. So, we'll just have to see how things go. Quick addition for tomorrow. Tomorrow is... I always look tired. Bonnie says, did Rick forget his makeup tonight or is he tired? I always look tired. I just do. Anyway. So yeah, so there's a bunch of changes and things like that, as far as like the audio goes and stuff like that. Okay. Now tomorrow, I've got to catch myself up here. I've been attempting to get Todd Spears, from the hot seat here on Rumble. And I finally got a hold of him. He finally responded back, and believe it or not, he wants to do the interview tomorrow. Now, I haven't responded back to him yet, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to respond back to him. So hopefully, if things work out right, we will have him tomorrow. Yeah, it's in the hot seat, whatever it is. Anyway, no, it's not Brittany's dad. He's a podcaster. He's doing this with it's called Dear America Media, I think, and it's got like Graham Allen and Todd and a couple other people that are doing it. So I'm going to respond back to him. We're going to see if we can get him on. Hopefully everything will work out, and I think you guys will like him. I've enjoyed some of his things. Basically what he does, just so you know, is his normal mode of operation is he basically does like a call-in show. And, I guess Chad Prather is also part of it. But he does like a call-in show. And his call-in show, he does have a number. You call in, you talk to him. He's put on some new rules and things like that to where, you have only a couple of minutes and that kind of thing. But anyway, he'll tell you more about it all tomorrow. But yeah, we're going to try and get him on here on the program. And I got to figure out, I'm probably going to go back to my normal routine and just kind of dump the Rumble studio for tomorrow night, only because of the fact that it's just going to be easier if I do it that way. Haven't quite figured out all of the Rumble studio stuff, so it's going to be better that way. Anyway, so so there you go. That's what we've got on tap for tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a incredible thing for that. So let's go ahead and kick off tonight. Tonight, of course, is hello. There we go. Business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
That's right. Tonight is Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And here we go. 4 roses for tonight. 4 roses single barrel. It's in honor of you, Bonnie. And I noticed Fat Paws is in the chat tonight. Fat Paws, I hope your recovery is going well, sir. And I have it in the True Grit Roots Network glass tonight. And there is the Stones. That's right, 3 Chevy. It takes stones to drink with whiskey. So there we go. All right. I'm a little out of order, but that's okay. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by none other than the Duke. So, if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me, and place your hand over your heart, and follow along with the Duke in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Duke. From the grave. Thank you, Duke. All right. Mark over on Facebook says, I watch American Perspective with Rick Thomas just to hear that's the nectar of the gods, baby. Anyway, if you would like to hear your rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting the pledge in your style, then take that audio or video file, whatever it is, attach it to an email, send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans at americanperspective.online. And of course, tonight's headline sponsor is TGRN, True Grit Roots Network. Our home on the web is tgrn.net. You can go there and check out our offerings. You can listen to TGRN and the Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio right from your browser at tgrn.net. You can just click on the little widget that we have there and play it. Also, too, if you want to download our app, you can do that. There's a couple of links right there on the front page for both Google Play and the App Store. Or if you already have the Live 365, Odyssey, AUDACY, or the iHeartRadio app, you can listen to us by searching us up in their catalog of digital radio stations. Also, too, at least on the Amazon Alexa, you can say, Alexa, play Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio from Live 365. Make sure you hit that from Live 365. You got to say from, not on, because then she won't find you or find us. So you can do that and listen on your smart device at home as well. We've got big news coming. Big news coming. I know I've been dropping hints and everything else, but it's coming, I promise. Here, probably within the next month, you'll be hearing about some brand new stuff that we got going on. Very exciting stuff. But until then, check out all of our wonderful on-air personalities and their shows. Monday through Friday, the shows are played twice on a day. They come in at 2 p.m. Central and then again at 8 p.m. Central. And you can go and check them out, whether it is Undercover Blues, Mighty Mouth Blues, Cruising on the Blues Highway. And then, of course, Ladies' Night is Friday night, which is Lady A's Black and Blues, Queens of the Blues. Both of those show up on Friday nights. And that is some fantastic, I'm telling you, some fantastic lineups here for all of us. But go and check it out, tgrn.net. TGRN stands for True Grit Roots Network. And we are based out of Austin, Texas. All right. All right, so there we go. We got that out of the way. Okay. So the House has passed the big and beautiful budget resolution. Mark is asking if I have a show on there. No, not at the moment. Notice how I say that. Not at the moment. Anyway, all right. So the House has passed Trump's big, beautiful budget resolution. And by the way, that resolution that got passed, it provides for money for the border, sorely needed. Money for national defense, also sorely needed. And the tax cuts. The tax cuts are going to be, I guess, made about as permanent as they can be. So there you go. So they passed it late last night. They slipped it through on a strictly not bipartisan, but partisan line. Okay. They literally split the vote. And bipartisan line with 217 Republicans voting for and 215 Democrats opposed. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this is that now that this has been passed, okay, you send it, or they're going to send the bill off to the Senate. Now, the Senate's been working on their own version of the bill, and they've actually broke it up into two separate parts. So, and I think they actually passed theirs as well. So now what's going to happen is they're going to have to reconcile the Senate is going to have to look at this bill and decide whether or not they want to take this bill or not, and what needs to change, what may not need to change, so on and so forth. But what'll end up happening is there will be a reconciliation of the differences in the two bills. And then both houses will have to vote on them once again. So we're not completely done with this. It's not a done deal yet. But it will essentially have to work itself out for this. And anyway. So it's a good thing that it got passed. It is a good thing. And remember, this is a budget reconciliation bill, so it does not need or it does not adhere to the 60 the 60 vote filibuster kind of scenario over in the Senate. So it can just pass with a simple majority, which is perfect. So that's what they're working on, and hopefully that'll get through. Now, it's actually quite amazing. I mean, Mike Johnson did work really hard to get it done. And so he pulled it out, in the end, and was able to get it taken care of, thankfully. So, I can't think of his name. the Senate leader, Senate Majority Leader, Turlin, something like that. Anyway, can't remember right off the top of my head. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But anyway, so that all of that, they're doing some seriously good work, considering the fact that they both are dealing with very small margins with it. So, yeah. Now, keep in mind, and Buddy points this out. Thune, thank you, Thune. Buddy points this out, and he's right. They also raised the debt limit again. Unfortunately, they have to raise it. I don't necessarily like that, but they have to raise it. Now, a part of the budget that the House passed, too, is they basically said for the tax cuts, okay, to go into effect, some of the budget requirements is going to have to go back to the committees, and they are going to have to cut spending in order to offset the tax cuts. So that's kind of in the situation as to where they're at. So there's going to be some more work done on this. It's not like it's just an automatic, we're going to raise the debt ceiling and, just spend. No, there is some things in there that are basically saying that, hey, in order to offset the tax cuts, the lost revenue of the tax cuts, we got to cut spending. So they're attempting to get to the point, where it's going to be a balanced budget, or trying to get to a balanced budget. As much of a balanced budget as you could possibly get with $37 trillion in debt. But anyway. Bombs, that's funny. Bob says, every time I hear Mike Johnson, I think of all the Johnsons on Blazing Saddles, a movie, of course, that will never, ever, ever see the light of day when dealing with the left. No, I'm just kidding. It's still out there. You can go and grab it. Anyway. Yeah. Mongo. That's right. Mongo loved candy. All right. Well, the further shakeups in the press corps and the mainstream media is, it's causing them just all kinds of freaking heartache. I mean, Rachel Maddow was crying about Joy Reid's loss of her job. And also made a comment or made some inferences saying that it was racist. Yeah. Anyway, I'm a lot chuckling because that is like really stupid. Everything is racist no matter what happens. But, all right. So in terms of the White House strips the White House Correspondents Association of press pool control. So originally, and here I'll show you this. This is in the, where is it? There we go. This is in the Daily Wire. So traditionally, the White House Correspondents Association kind of gives or recommends to the White House who should be as a part of the press pool in the White House press briefing room. And as you recall, which I actually even applied for, and I haven't heard anything back, no surprise, but the White House has said, you know what, we're done with the mainstream media. We're done with the legacy media. What we want is the media and all media to have access to us. And so what they did is they offered up a seat or two in the press pool to independent content creators, people who would normally not necessarily make it into the White House press briefing room. Well, now they've taken that one step further. The WHCA has now been kicked out. They are no longer in charge of who actually sits in the press pool at the White House. And White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced yesterday that the White House press team will now determine who actually is in the pool of reporters following the president, which has long been left to that WHCA, by the way. So anyway, the Trump White House and the press are clashing. Let's just put it that way, as if they didn't really know. But anyway, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore. I am proud to announce that we are going to give power back to the people who read your papers, who watch your television shows, and who listen to your radio stations. That's what Leavitt said. And they are not happy. They are not happy. So, yeah. Anyway, so Leavitt continued and said, moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join. Fear not. But we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility. Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool, but new voices are going to be welcomed in as well. So, new media gained access to the press briefings this past month, but the White House Correspondents Association, their ability to select who participates in the press pool was challenged when the Trump White House barred Associated Press reporters from pooled events at the Oval Office and in Air Force One. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that Trump is at this moment even out surpassing his predecessor, his predecessor's predecessor, and his predecessor's predecessor's predecessor. That would be three. Yeah. So that would cover Biden, Trump 1, as well as Obama. In terms of answering questions, he has answered over 1,000 questions so far from the press. He has become or demonstrated that he is the most transparent president, even over himself. Because the press, Biden answered, just a little over 100 by this time. Even Trump 1 didn't quite make it to like 150 in his first term. And then also, too, Obama, in the same amount of time, didn't quite make it to 150 either. So, Trump has answered over 1,000 questions. 1,000 questions so far from the press. And I don't know if anybody caught the, he was at a press conference with regards to something that I'll talk about here in a little bit, but somebody apparently commissioned red caps, and I'm calling them caps, they're baseball caps, like what you see with the, Make America Great Again that Trump had. Well, somebody put on there something else, and he was trying to hand them out to some of the people who were, quote, in the press pool in the Oval Office at the time. And one of the press people were like, I'm not going to take it. So anyway. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I asked, haven't answered. We'll give it a try. Oh. Buddy has corrected me. I said over 1,000. He said over 1,009 plus. So there's the correction. All right. Trump's just breaking all kinds of barriers. All kinds of stuff going on here. All right. So it's not just the White House press corps that's being all shook up. Oh, sorry. Elvis impression. Anyway. Oh, now I'm being told that the baseball hat is not a cap. Anyway, whatever. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, U.S. Abby Girl. U.S. Abby Girl says Trump was right about everything was what was on the hats. I forgot about that. But it's not just the White House Correspondents Association. It's not just the press pool in the White House. It is now even expanding farther. It's expanding farther. Things are changing. I'm telling you. Do you feel the winds of change going on here? Well, here's what it is. Breitbart, Washington Post editor quits after Bezos, who the last time I checked owns the Washington Post, he orders the opinion page to defend free markets and personal liberty. Really? Yeah. The Washington Post opinion editor David Shipley resigned yesterday after the paper's owner, Jeff Bezos, announced that going forward on the opinion pages, we are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. So, yeah, this is what he posted on X. And he also said that they'll cover other topics too, but they are going to have somebody in the opinion section that is going to essentially write every day about support of personal liberties and free markets. Yeah. So Bezos continued and said, I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical. And a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. He stressed that freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. He stressed, of Shipley, Bezos said, I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. Okay. So apparently, at least that person can't be in charge anymore. Yeah. You know. So I guess the Washington Post, again, folks, do not take this just like MSNBC, just like anything else. They are shifting only as far as they need to, okay, in order to be able to keep their readers and viewership. That is it. Don't think for a second that these people are bending over backwards to all of a sudden change their tune. A leopard doesn't change its spots overnight. A zebra doesn't change its stripes overnight. And I promise you, these folks, if the opportunity presents itself once again in 2 years or 4 years or whatever, I guarantee you they will go back to their old ways the minute that they get the opportunity to do so. Okay? It's actually kind of sad, to be honest with you, to even have this. I mean, the press continually was supposed to be totally independent. I mean, that was part of the beauty of it. Even, Benjamin Franklin was talking about the freedom of the press. It was considered to be the I don't know if it's the fourth wall of government, whatever it was. And it was originally supposed to make sure that the government could not pull the wool over the eyes of everybody, especially making sure that it would expose the government anytime that it did something, meaning the government did something that it wasn't supposed to. That was what the free independent press was supposed to be. They were supposed to be the watchers, the stalwart watchers on the wall, looking for the next thing that government does, because government is inherently evil. And I don't know where they got off on that or where they disappeared on that, but they certainly aren't part of that now. We, as in the independent media section, such as myself, we are the independent media. We are the voices of all of it. So there you go. All right, let me take a quick break. Let's hit one of these wonderful sponsors here. Let's go ahead and we'll go with this one. All right, so here it is, Patriot Mobile. Have anybody heard of these guys? I'm going to tell you, I've been checking them out. Dan Bongino has advocated for these guys in the past, and I've taken a look. My one concern at first was the fact that they only covered the one singular carrier. Well, now they cover all the carriers. So that means that if you have Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile, you can switch over to Patriot Mobile and still get the same great service that you had from all of the other carriers, just without the additional carrier cost. Okay. And so if you were to switch to Patriot Mobile for your cell phone service and get your first 2 months free when you use the promo code VICTORY with an exclamation point. That's right. VICTORY with an exclamation point. The offer expires this Friday. So you got to hit them quick, folks. You got to get there Friday if you're planning on switching. Okay. You got to head on over there and get your first 2 months free when you use the promo code VICTORY with the exclamation point in it by Friday, February 28th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sign up now at patriotmobile.com. That's right. Sign up now at patriotmobile.com or by calling 972-PATRIOT. That's PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT, or go to patriotmobile.com to take advantage of this fantastic 2-month free offer by Patriot Mobile by using the promo code VICTORY. That's VICTORY exclamation point. And it looks like it's in capitals too, so make sure you do it in capitals as well. That's right. Go to patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT and take advantage of this offer before Friday, February 28th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And of course, I thank them for allowing us, for giving me the opportunity to be a promoter of them. All right. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. Well, you remember how I was talking last night about that absolutely awful and disgusting and just, I can't even imagine why they even got away with it. Well, technically they didn't get away with it. Okay. Yeah. Who am I talking about in terms of, who am I talking about in terms of this absolute awful group of individuals? Well, if you'll remember, the intelligence officials who were utilizing a internal chat message board that was designed to pass around confidential information, classified information, not just confidential, but classified information. Well, our wonderful DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, has announced that over 100 intelligence officials will be terminated and their security clearances will be revoked because of their involvement in those chats. Okay. Yeah. So she said, as quoted by Fox News, that they will all be terminated, their security clearances revoked. And she posted on X, memo sent, we know who they are. Action is underway. So, yeah. So, hey, real quick on that Patriot Mobile, I'm telling you, Nana, just give them a call. Check and see what they can do for you. Seriously, just ask them. Because I guarantee you they will help you if they can, and if they can't, they'll say that they can't, and you'll be no worse off. So you should give them a shot. Anyway, so Tulsi Gabbard's not taking any crap. And apparently, according to reports, the employees will actually be terminated and their security clearances revoked, with Friday set as the deadline for both actions. So the allegations, and as I discussed last night, involved officials misusing an internal agency messaging board to discuss very personal information, presenting it as all part of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. It was seen that agencies like the Defense Intelligence Agency, U.S. Naval Intelligence, and the NSA were involved in discussions about things like gender reassignment surgery, artificial genitalia, hormone therapy, polyamory, meaning multiple spouses, I guess. Anyway, and pronoun usage, according to the Fox News report. Now, keep in mind, this all came from Christopher Rufo, okay? All right. In addition to this, some other discussions included, I'm not going to go, laser hair removal, hormone replacement therapy, breast augmentation, all that other kind of stuff. So there you go. So yeah, she, following the release of the Intel link, that's INTELINK, which is the chat message board that they were using, the chat logs on Monday, an NSA spokesperson confirmed that the agency is actively investigating potential misuse of the messaging platform, and now these people are going to get fired. So they're working on cleaning it up, folks. They are working on cleaning it up. And I got to tell you, that is so nice to see. Not that I necessarily wanted to see the chat messages, not that I wanted to hear about the chat messages, but it is so nice to see that they are attempting to clean up the government. I mean, let's face it. That's just awesome. Well, the Democrats are also losing across the board as well. And they are thinking about, how they're going to move forward. Well, Bill Maher, who's not exactly our friend, okay? Let's just be clear. He's not our friend, but he is definitely acting, I guess, is the better way in terms of more of a moderate, kind of a common sense sort of style. Well, he actually made a prediction. Here in the Daily Fetched, Bill Maher predicts Democrats will lose every election due to forcing trans ideology onto the kids. Yeah. Yep. Bill Maher has warned the Democrats against continuing to exert control over parental rights in transgender matters, predicting an electoral disaster for the party. I don't even understand why this is even a question. I mean, we meaning the common sense people, finally got our voice and have been able to stand up and are now starting to say, hey, this is wrong. Now, during an appearance on the Pod Save America podcast, Maher told former Obama speechwriter John Lovett that Democrats risk losing every election if they continue pushing policies that undermine parental authority. He goes, you want to lose every election? Just keep coming down on the side of parents, coming in second in a who gets to decide what goes on with my kid contest, Maher said. So, yeah. Lovett argued that parents should only have a say in their child's transgender-related decisions if they fully support their child's identity, implying that parents who do not affirm their child's transgender identity are comparable to abusive parents who endanger their children. Lovett started saying, I don't want Donald Trump deciding child trans related issues. I want parents and doctors. Mark cut in and said, well, you just said parents can get shut out. Yeah. Lovett clarified at that point and said, I don't think parents should get shut out. There are rare exceptions to that. But we also recognize that some parents do such a bad effing job that the kids are in danger. Really? They're in danger. They're in danger of cutting off healthy body parts for what is essentially something that, statistically speaking, transitions out by the time they go through puberty. I mean, really? They're in danger? They're not in danger from the parents trying to keep them from essentially harming themselves physically. Ugh. Anyway, at least Bill Maher is kind of talking about this and is at least starting to think about and thinking that maybe the Dems have gone quite too far. Well, they definitely have. I'm going to tell you they have. That's why we have Donald Trump. That's why we have a Republican-controlled Senate. That's why we have a Republican-controlled Congress. All this. And Becky points out on Facebook, it's abuse if you do, because most of the kids get over it, which is essentially what I basically said. I mean, the vast majority actually do. They do grow out of these thoughts and these processes. So, anyway, it's kind of interesting, U.S. Abby Girl. You made a comment about Bill Maher. You're saying, I don't understand why he's still a Democrat. Well, it's no different than, say, Elon Musk. Elon Musk posted a fantastic meme where it basically showed that the party, the Democrat Party, shifted so freaking far left. Okay. That, they ended up taking the center line, onto the opposite side of what would normally be considered moderate Democrats are now more moderate conservatives, or moderate liberals into moderate conservatives. And so that is essentially what's happening here. That's basically what has happened. And the more common, and I'm going to call them more of the old school Democrats, because let's face it, old school Democrats were America first. They were America, America loving, America forward. Many Democrats were also staunch supporters of the Constitution. It's really the leftist part of the party that has essentially ripped everything off to one side. They've lurched the entire car over to one side. And it just, they took over the party. The moderate Democrats kind of just sort of, I guess in a way, let them have it and let them do it. And now, whatever. They're in trouble. Well, they're in trouble more so than just people like Bill Maher and Elon Musk and other moderate Democrats. They're also in trouble from their donors. Reports are coming out now that donors are actually deserting the Democrat Party. And, well, let's face it, when you vote for and get David Hogg as your vice chair of the DNC, that didn't really help at all. Let's face it. So, changing all of the election rules in the middle of the event, that didn't really help either. So, Democrat donors have begun voting with their feet. So, according to some reports that are out there, several Democrat donors said this week that they have paused their donations to the party because of how weak and ineffective it has become in the wake of President Donald Trump's return to office. Okay. A major Democrat donor told The Hill, "I'll be blunt here. The Democrat Party is effing terrible, plain and simple. In fact, it doesn't get much worse." Okay. A second donor told the publication that they were equally as turned off about the party. "They want us to spend money. And for what? For no message, no organization, no forward thinking," this donor said. "The thing that's clear to a lot of us is that the party never really learned its lesson in 2016. They worked off the same playbook, the same ineffective strategies, and to what end?" So, now, to be honest, I mean, I kind of argue a little bit with that guy, with whoever that donor is, because the reality is that, yeah, the Democrats have won a couple of elections in between, with the same playbook and the strategy, but the party is essentially starting to break down. It really is. And I'll be honest with you, as a conservative, as watching the Democrat Party take this country for the last 40 or 50 years to ripping things, across the board, I got to be honest with you, I'm really amazed that it's taken them this long to try and figure this out. Okay. And, again, they're still coming at us. They're still coming at conservatives with the whole idea that, stuff like Trump is a Nazi, he wants to be a dictator, he's a fascist, so on and so forth. And, they haven't quite figured out, thankfully, they haven't quite figured out that, keep going. That's going to help you in the future. That's going to do it for you in the future. I mean, really? Anyway, well, I mean, the only way that this stuff is actually going to get figured out is if the money starts drying up for these idiots and morons. So, the DNC hasn't really done a heck of a job. And here, just as an example, Jonathan Capehart, who was at the DNC, asks for a show of hands, how many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in VP Harris's defeat? Yeah. Keep going down that path, leftist. Keep going down that path. Seriously. I'm okay with that. Because, that's just going to make it easier on us. For sure. So, yeah. Anyway, and the fact that they're even considering, to be honest with you, even considering the fact that they want Kamala Harris possibly going again, or God forbid, AOC. They want AOC as the next front-runner candidate, or even Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, keep going, Democrats. I really would like to see you get that. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the near future. But at least some of the donors are starting to wake up. And, it's really not going to help these guys either, the Democrats themselves. It's really not even going to help them for things like, Jake Tapper apparently is writing some sort of a book, and he's now explaining, or going to explain in that book, the Biden cover-up. So, yeah, they're all turning on themselves, folks. They're all turning on themselves, and that is absolutely fantastic that is happening. I'm loving the fact that they're planning on doing it. So, there you go. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Let's see here. And Bam mentioned something way back up here in the. Bam goes, finally, margarita time. Now that the show is almost over. No, today's Wednesday. I've got an extra 40 minutes right now on the docket. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, as we all know, one of my favorite guys, Dan Bongino, has been selected. By the way, his last broadcast for his podcast, where he is the host, and he's been kind of teasing out the idea that he's got some sort of a guest host or something coming in mind. So, no matter what ends up happening with his podcast, okay, he is going to be missed. And I don't know about you, but I personally, I kind of have a thing where even like with Mark Levin often has guest host step in. And I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do guest host. I just can't. And, if this show takes off, I'm going to tell you right now, if something comes up, I don't think that I will necessarily be able to pawn a guest host off of you or on you. I mean, even like, the Mark K show, Mark K made a comment about that where what they would do is they would just go and run, they would just run reruns instead of, basically instead of having a guest host, because in his mind, and I kind of agree with him, the original and the only is the only way to go. Okay. I mean, honestly, Jarhead, that you honor me with that comment. Jarhead, says Trump got Sean Parnell and Dan Bongino. I'm next. No, I would, if that were only even somewhat true. That's and Graham Allen too, by the way. But anyway, what ends up happening with a lot of these people is like what they did with Pete Hegseth too, by the way, is that Pete Hegseth was grossly misinterpreted or misrepresented, I should say, in the mainstream media. And it's amazing to me how the left seems to think that just because somebody like myself or whatever, sits in front of a television or in front of a camera and, or somebody like Dan Bongino. I mean, Dan Bongino's got experience. He was a law enforcement officer. He was a Secret Service agent. He did investigations. He also led classes and instructed on investigations. Okay. Pete Hegseth was in the service for 20 years. He led troops. He knows about that. He was a ranking officer, earned the Bronze Star, I think twice. It's not like these people are just, being plucked out of thin air or off the street, walking up to some, not to sound disparaging, but some homeless guy and just like picking him up. They don't seem to understand this. And what's amazing to me too is the fact that the left stream media, the lamestream media, is also picking up on all of this. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, a CNN panel, and I gotta love Scott Jennings. Seriously, I gotta love Scott Jennings. He is like fantastic. All right. But a CNN panel was essentially talking about the whole thing, and they were trying to pitch Dan Bongino again, just like they tried to pitch Pete Hegseth as just a Fox host and a podcaster who really didn't know what he was doing, any of that. And Scott Jennings was going to have none of that. All right. Scott Jennings was never going to have any of that. So here is a little snippet of Scott Jennings taking on, once again, the panel. Oh, wait. Yeah. Here we go.
You just denigrated Bongino's law enforcement credentials. He was a cop and a Secret Service agent. You denigrated his academic credentials. He has a master's degree.
Just because he was a police officer doesn't make him qualified to run a 38,000 person, $11 billion budget agency, just like Pete Hegseth.
But you know what does? Because he
National Guardsman or everyone doesn't either. Thank you for your service.
The confidence and the pleasure of the president.
Whose judgment is terrible.
And I'm sorry that you are not yet over the outcome of the election.
No, because look at what's happening to our country. And I'll never be over it, Scott. This is dismantling our democracy in front of our eyes, and you guys are okay with it.
You had a city that was smaller than the amount of people that live on this block, and he was the Secretary of Transportation. You had the guy who was stealing luggage. I mean, I think anyone who's defending the Biden administration.
But this is the FBI.
So?
Right.
Yeah, and this is someone who has a career in law enforcement.
Okay, I got to interrupt here because Joe, whoever Joe is, I don't watch CNN, so I don't even know who Joe is. But I can tell you, I like Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings, if we could have Scott Jennings in his own show or something sometime, I would probably watch that, regardless of whether it was on CNN or not. I mean, honestly. But yeah, Trump has asked these people to come, okay? And Joe points out, rightfully so, that Biden had a guy who was the mayor of a small town, so small that the population of a New York City block was less than what that town actually was. And he tapped him for the Secretary of Transportation because the guy liked trains. Okay. Joe also pointed out he had somebody who is in charge of like the nuclear things. You remember the bald guy that was stealing luggage, the bald guy that was dressing, cross-dressing as a woman. And it's like, and these people, these leftists are sitting here trying to justify that Dan Bongino or Pete Hegseth or Kash Patel or any of these people don't have the chops and the backgrounds to actually do the job. Well, take a look at the 4 years that we've had just passed. Yeah, there were so many people that were a part of the administration that were unable to do the job because they obviously were very ineffective. And also, too, don't forget things like, Dan Bongino's got a master's degree. Sean Parnell, master's degree. Not that I'm saying that degrees actually mean anything, but that's what the left seems to think is, right and proper for experience is to have, and Hegseth, 2 Ivy League degrees as well. And Kash Patel, lawyer. 2 Ivy League degrees. At least I don't know if they're Ivy League, but he definitely was, he's a lawyer. He went to law school. So you're sitting here and you're just like looking at it going, what in the heck? How can you justify? They're just basically arguing over all of this. I mean, seriously. And by the way, G, who was over on Rumble, says, so Secret Service under Obama doesn't qualify him to them? Well, it's more than just that. He served, I think it was Bush, Obama, and I think those were the 2, but 2 or 3, I can't remember. But he served like 2 or 3 presidents while he was in the Secret Service. So anyway, it's just these people, they're just nuts. They're just nuts. All right, let's go ahead and finish this off. The hens are pecking again, so hold on.
Does Dan Bongino have the qualifications to be the second person in charge of the FBI?
Yes, he has law enforcement, he has academic, and again, let me just stress this. I've mentioned this before.
So when you stack up his
serve at the pleasure of the president. That's the political appointment.
I know that is the answer to every question, is that Donald Trump wants it, so therefore it is good.
For political appointments, yes.
But when we look at, we're talking about people who are qualified and not, and you look at his resume and compare it to Republican and Democrat nominees for that same position, is he qualified?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not sure all the people that have been appointed in the past have covered themselves in glory. And some of them have done a terrible job and gotten in lots of trouble.
Look,
and this is a reform-minded administration. They got outsiders.
Again, keep in mind, folks, the left loves the fact that their people are, to them, that they're the ones that are important. They're the ones that are the most qualified. Yeah. not this time. Dan is more than qualified. Kash Patel is more than qualified. Pete Hegseth is more than qualified. All right. I'm going to try. Well, let's see. No, I'm going to hold that off because I really want to do this one for the pet of the week. I really do. Cause I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm going to hold off on doing another spot. So, well, actually, no, I can do my spot. I mean, you see these shirts. And get yourself a shirt like mine. You can actually get this exact shirt. This is the Liberty Bell and President Lincoln. Yeah, I got to look down and figure out which one I'm wearing. The Liberty Bell President Lincoln shirt. This is the men's cotton polo that you can go and pick up at theflagshirt.com. All one word, theflagshirt.com. You can go and check out all of their patriotic styles all across, and they have men's, women's, kids, as well as all kinds of accessories. Veteran owned, veteran run, and it is a fantastic thing. If you order $75 or more of their product, they will give you free shipping. But I know that not everybody can order or wants to order $75 or more of product. So I am going to help you out by going to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. You can get yourself a coupon code that you can copy and paste into the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get yourself $5 off your order. All you have to do is go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, get that coupon code, copy and paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you'll get $5 off your order right on me, on American Perspective. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Well, the illegal roundups are continuing, and they finally hit one of the biggest migrant colonies, probably in the U.S., but definitely in Texas. They picked up a bunch. Here in Breitbart, 118 illegal aliens arrested in Texas's largest migrant colony raids. They picked up 118 by raiding the Colony Ridge subdivision. Now, and this is near Houston, Texas. So I don't know if anybody's really heard about this, but this was a subdivision that was sort of being built. And I can't recall, maybe somebody from Texas could maybe indicate what's going on. But I think the developer, something had happened with the developer. And so what ended up happening is all of these illegal aliens started coming in and like living in the partially built structures. And so anyway, what ended up happening is the entire subdivision got taken over by these folks, by these illegal aliens. And so ICE has finally gone in and has raided that area or that subdivision. And according to ICE, the multi-agency immigration raid netted migrants charged with a myriad of criminal charges and criminal convictions. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced the raids and the participation of state law enforcement agencies, saying that he had worked on the raids with Trump border czar Tom Homan for months, Breitbart Texas had reported. According to ICE, the migrants arrested in Monday's raid inside the more than 30,000-acre subdivision were facing charges and or convictions of crimes that included criminal sexual misconduct, homicide, theft, negligent manslaughter, child sexual abuse, crimes of moral turpitude. Well, they could be just thinking about something. But anyway, weapons offenses and drug offenses. So, as reported by Breitbart, Texas, one migrant arrest involved 3-time deported Salvadoran illegal alien, a 3-time deported Salvadoran illegal alien, facing charges of repeated sexual abuse of a child in Plum Grove, Texas, during the raids. So, yeah. And all of the Democrats seem to think that these illegals are just wonderful, wonderful people who are just here to pick our food and clean our toilets and take care of our lawns. I mean, that's what the Democrats think. Pramila Jayapal thinks that. I am so embarrassed that she that she represents my state. I'm sorry. Her, Senator Patty Murray. I mean, anyway. To move on from that. So yeah, they picked up 118, and that's fantastic. It's a small number, it seems, but it's still fantastic. Any number at this point is a lot better than no number. But I got to tell you, I want more. And as I told you about last week, President Trump wants more. So, yeah. Yep. So the area that they raided is frequently noted for criminal activity related to migrants illegally present in the United States. As reported also by Breitbart, Texas, 3 previously deported illegal aliens were arrested in a targeted traffic stop that resulted in a seizure of nearly 150 pounds of methamphetamine in mid-February. A multi-agency law enforcement task force from Liberty County developed information from the 3 previously deported migrants that led to the discovery of methamphetamine in a trailer located in the Colony Ridge after the vehicle stop. So, yeah. Yep. So there you go. Oh, yeah. G says, there are more there. Oh, yeah. No, I know there's more than 118. I'm sure there is. At 30,000 acres? Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more than that. Well, as a result of Donald Trump's and Tim Homan's activities, and Donald Trump being, of course, the one that's leading all of them, as a result of that, there is a marked decline in crossings. A marked decline in crossings. And there's a marked decline, and by marked, I mean M-A-R-K-E-D, not M-A-R-K-E-T, but a marked decline in crossings. And how do we know this? Well, as you can see in front page, right here, shelters that used to take in 1,000 migrants, read aliens, a day are empty now. That's right. These shelters are starting to lose their, what do you call them? Their product, I guess. I don't know what else to really call it. But anyway, some expected to close by the end of the month. So the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops recently sued the Trump administration, but Catholic Charities' migrant problems have a bigger problem than just funding freezes. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. So migrant shelters that helped nearly 1,000 asylum seekers per day at the height of migrant crossings just a few years ago are now nearly empty. The shelters, mostly along the Texas-Mexico border, reported a plunge in the number of people in their care since the Trump administration effectively closed the border to asylum seekers in January. Some of these shelters are expected to close by the end of the month. McAllen officials reported an average of fewer than 12 people arriving at the respite center run by Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley this month, and are on track to have fewer than 350 people in total in February. In January, the respite center received a total of 3,188 people. Annunciation House, which is an El Paso-based migrant shelter network, has a total of about 40 people so far in the shelters, according to Ruben Garcia, who is the director of the organization. Because of the small number of people in the shelters, only 4 of the more than 20 facilities in their network are actually in operation, Garcia said. He will likely close more by the end of the month, keeping only 1 or 2 open. Another El Paso shelter, Casa del Sargado, Corazon, also saw fewer arrivals than last year, prompting the closure of their shelter in September, according to Michael DeBruhl, who was the shelter director. A shelter in San Antonio, the Migrant Resource Center, stopped accepting new migrants last week due to low numbers. Now, local residents who are terrorized by these shelters and the people in them are very happy to see them go away. Okay. So this, it's amazing what happens when you police the border and actually mean what you say, for it. So, last week, the new Border Patrol chief said that apprehensions in one 7-day period were down by 91% from the same time just a year ago. Border officials in Arizona said that migrants had largely stopped surrendering en masse with the hopes of claiming asylum or being released into the country. Instead, they said a majority of those crossing illegally now try to avoid detection by threading through canyons and up treacherous mountain paths. So, yep. It's amazing what happens when you actually enforce the law. So that's wonderful, to be honest with you. It's perfectly wonderful. Hey, we like it. We love it. We want more of it. Make it hurt, Donald Trump. Make it hurt. Sorry, that's an old cadence from boot camp. Anyway. Well, the last piece that I have here in terms of speaking about immigration comes from the Epoch Times. And this, a lot of people took this as something different than what it actually is. Okay. Because of the fact that it's essentially kind of encouraging immigration. So let's be honest here. America itself, we are not going to be able to get away from immigration and having immigrants come here. And let's be honest, any self-respecting American believes in the fact of legal immigration. And that's the key, is the legal part of the immigration. They are not interested, meaning the average American is not interested in illegal immigration. They want you to come here. Hey, if if you have a skill or you want to better your life and you can come here, fantastic. We will accept you. But you have to come through the process. You have to come here through the process. Okay? And so Trump had one of his Oval Office press briefings to announce a new methodology to bring the best, the brightest, and potentially the richest into the country. So Trump is going to launch what is called gold card visas that would essentially grant the holder residency for $5 million. So what it's essentially going to be is it's basically going to be like a green card, but it will be called the gold card. And it's going to grant green card privileges and also provide a path to citizenship. But it's not somebody who is coming here who is maybe destitute and looking for asylum or looking to do criminal behavior necessarily. It's designed to vet out an individual who wants to come here and actually make America better and maybe open up a business and run a business here. Okay? And so that's the point of this whole thing. So he announced that his administration is going to start selling the so-called gold card visas for $5 million each in the next 2 weeks. Okay? And he said during the presser, that's going to give you green card privileges, plus it's going to be a route to citizenship. And wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They will be wealthy, they will be successful, they will be spending a lot of money, paying a lot of taxes, and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful and never been done before, anything like this. So, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, who explained that the gold card would be replacing what's called the EB-5 investor visa. So according to U.S. Immigration Services, EB-5 allows a foreign national to obtain a green card by making a high enough investment into a commercial enterprise in the United States and providing a plan to create or preserve at least 10 full-time jobs for qualified U.S. workers. Lutnick described the EB-5 as being full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, getting a green card at a very low price. He said they'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America, the president can give them a green card, they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Trump noted that the United States is $35 trillion in debt, and if the country sold 10 million gold cards, that would mean a total of 50 trillion. Wow, he can do math. That's good. Anyway, sorry, I'm kidding. Along with seeing this as an opportunity to draw different immigrants to the country, who are going to create jobs, the president also expects American companies like Apple to pay the $5 million to ensure certain people can come in and work for them. And yeah, I thought about that too. Buddy mentions they could be wealthy criminals. Well, that's part of the vetting process. Hopefully that would keep them from, being that way. Anyway, Trump said that they're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thought. Not quite sure I really understanding about this, but he was asked by a reporter, by the way, whether or not a Russian oligarch could qualify for a gold card. Trump said it was possible. And this is part of the reason why I think Trump is sometimes his own worst enemy, because he also followed that up with that he knew some who are very nice people. Now, Adam Schiff clammed onto that. Anyway, he's like, he says, it's possible they're not quite as wealthy as they used to be, he said with a laugh, joking about the financial toll of the war with Ukraine that has cost Russia globally. He says, I think they could afford 5 million. So, yeah. Anyway, Lutnick questioned, which this is part of the reason why they want to do this. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Lutnick asked. Do we give out E5 or EB5 for green cards? President Trump understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead? So obviously they're looking at this as a transactional kind of thing. They're looking at it as though it's going to be one of those things where, hey, we're going to get $5 million from these people, and we're going to take that money and hopefully apply it to our deficit and be able to make a dent in the deficit before moving forward. So anyway, Yeah, background checks, vetting, that is really going to be a part of it, Nana. I hope so. I hope so, that is going to be a huge piece out of this, that they're not just going to willy-nilly hand this out to somebody who's $5 million. So anyway, the $5 million or whatever. All right. I saw this ad, this next ad. I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to do this for Wednesday night. Honestly, I have to do this for Wednesday night. And it is so perfect for Wednesday night for the pet of the week. So here we go. All right. If you have a dog, we've all been there. Our pup goes from full energy to sick and miserable in an instant and at the worst times. Then we're calling the vets in the middle of the night or on a weekend, trying to find a clinic that will take us in. It's a terrible way to manage your dog's health, not to mention your stress levels and your monthly budget. So that's why people are getting the Pet Emergency Kit by Positive. That's PAWSITIVE. It contains critical medications and supplies that can not only keep you out of the veterinary office, but may even save your dog's life. Their kit contains critical medications like activated charcoal, styptic powder, and more. It might save your dog's life. Head over to Positive, that's PAWSITIVE.com, and use the code STUDIO, STUDIO, to get 15% off your Pet Emergency Kit. Once again, head on over to Positive.com, PAWSITIV.com, and use the promo code STUDIO to get 15% off your Pet Emergency Kit. And again, that Pet Emergency Kit contains critical medications and supplies that can not only keep you out of the veterinary's office, okay, but may even save your dog's life. And yes, Bam, it sounds like it's the wellness kit for your dog. So that is fantastic. But anyway, once again, head on over to Positive, PAWSITIVE.com, and use code STUDIO to get 15% off your Pet Emergency Kit. Go to Positive.com and check it out and get your 15% off today. Told you guys would like that. I saw that and I was like all excited. I'm like, ha ha, this is perfect for Pet of the Week. I may have to see if I can reach out to them and see if maybe I could be a sponsor, or maybe they can be a sponsor for Pet of the Week for all the time. But anyway. All right. So let's go ahead and get Pet of the Week kicked off. I can't remember the button, and yep, there it is. There we go. Here comes Pet of the Week. Now, Pet of the Week for tonight is a submission. Now, we've seen this before, but I got to tell you, every time I see this man's videos on his fish, it's just fantastic. And I am so impressed by what this man has done with everything. It's just amazing. So, yeah, anyway, Amy, that would be fantastic too. Whoops. That would be fantastic too. Amy says, if anybody wants it, I have a list of common meds that can be used on dogs and cats with the dosage amount. Why don't you send that to me and I'll put it in the Perspective newsletter. How about that? Send it on over to me and I'll put it in the Perspective newsletter for everybody. So there you go. Anyway, so let's get on. I'm always amazed at how detailed this man does in his fish. It's his fish, okay? And yes, we are talking about 3 Chevy, of course, with his fish. And gotta get it up here. There we go. And so tonight is his 3 Chevy's fish pond. It's a short video, folks, but check this out. There he's got his koi. Spends a lot of time on his koi, I'm telling you. 3 Chevy. It's just awesome. Look at this. Throwing in the fish. He's feeding the fish. Got all kinds of colorful ones too. He's got red and orange, and there's some white and brown ones, and white and orange ones. There's even a yellow one in there too. Fantastic. Lots of 3 Chevy stuff. Lots. He does a lot of work. I don't. If you guys have checked out some of the other videos that he has produced and pictures, he's got this fantastic. It's like the corner of his yard that he did up, and he's sent in pictures and things like that in the past, and I've shown him on this program, but yeah, he does a fantastic job with it. I am so impressed by his oh yes, and also can't forget the frogs that sort of moved in on him. But yeah, it's fantastic. He is just such a enterprising young man. I don't know where 3 Chevy is, but yeah, he's just, yep. So there's a frog or two in there, and it's a great fish pond. Just great. He's got it right in the corner of his yard. And after the hurricane came through and stuff like that, it didn't take a lot of damage or anything, but I'm very impressed. Someday I hope to be able to get there and witness it in person, because sometimes you just got to have it. You just got to have it. So anyway. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Tomorrow night, we're going to have, hopefully, if I can get him, we're going to have Todd Spears from In the Hot Seat, also here on Rumble. Now, he transmits around 1 p.m. my time. I think he goes from like 1 to 2:30 my time, which would be from 4 to 5:30 Eastern. And he has just, well, we'll have him tell you about Trent, because I'm going to ask him about Trent. Anyway, do me a favor, hit those thumbs up and like buttons across all of my platforms, whether it is X, Facebook, YouTube, and of course the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, hopefully with Todd on board. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.